Kan je daar even staan, zodat ik kan kijken? Hey everyone, making sure you can hear me here. We are live.
Bij Skype. Ja. Maar dan kunnen we, wat jij spreekt, van een wezen.
Dus is iedereen gereed? De pers, de camera's al klaar? Is Kai al klaar? Dan moet je nog verder dingen doen. Oké, 5 minuten. Wacht, 5 minuten.
Can everyone hear me? Hey, it's me, Shannon Joy. We are in Amsterdam. Everyone's just getting set up. We are live right now on Rumble, live on Twitter, live on Freely TV, Roku, Apple TV, Facebook, YouTube. I think we're the only live stream here. Lots of press, lots of cameras, but this is the only live stream. So if you guys can hear me, let me know. Great. Lou Melcom can hear me. What a great day we had today, guys, at the courthouse. There's a lot to talk about, but you're going to hear about what went down. Sasha Latypova is going to speak. Of course, Peter Stassen, the attorney, is up right now, and he's going to be speaking about what happened today in court. Dr. Joe Sansone is here as well, and just an amazing group of freedom-loving Dutch people with a couple Americans thrown in, and it's really great. So there are many ways that we can look at what happened today at the court. I have a Substack coming out with all of my takeaways from what happened, but it was really interesting. We had some amazing translators and some music behind me. So this is one thing I learned about being in Europe. Okay, there are a couple things about being in Amsterdam while they're getting started. Number one, the bikers are dangerous. Like, they will take you out, and they will take you out fast. I almost got hit like 3 times. It's amazing, though. Everyone is super fit and amazing. Oh, we're going to get started. Okay. All right. Let's go. I thought we were getting started, but maybe we aren't. Yeah, CJ, I think it is leather. You guys would laugh at me. I'm such a country bumpkin here in the big city of Amsterdam. Got lost like 3 times today. It's been great. I mean, I'll fill you guys all in, not tomorrow, but on Wednesday, about everything that went down. And like I said, I'm going to have a Substack coming out pretty soon, too. But right now, we're just waiting, I think, for a couple of cameramen to get set up and everything to get going. But if you're watching right now on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, Rumble, Freely, Facebook, please like and share, hashtag COVID justice, hashtag Netherlands. We've been pushing this out. One of the missions today was to bring a lot of attention to the plight of the vaccine injured here in the Netherlands. There are certain aspects of the court system here that allow their cases to go through. And we have 9 plaintiffs, all injured from the COVID-19 vaccines. And this hearing today was to decide whether or not the courts would allow expert witness testimony from some of the more anti-establishment expert witnesses. So you guys probably know Sasha Latypova, you know Catherine Austin Fitz, Catherine Watt, also Dr. Joe Sansone, and there was one more, I can't remember his name. Mike Eden is the fifth, and the defendants. So Bill Gates, Burla, Root, and Dutch officials. The defendants. They brought in 9 attorneys today. It was like 9 attorneys against 1, and they were all quite smug, I have to say. And they essentially do not want to allow any competing data, any competing evidence or facts to be presented. They don't want to answer them. So Peter Sassen's plea today was centered around the fact that there is a set of government facts and establishment facts, and there is a set of the real facts. And these attorneys, I mean, they have millions, if not billions of dollars to play around with, are doing everything they possibly can to keep Sasha Latypova, Catherine Austin Fitz, Catherine Watt, Mike Eden, and Dr. Joe Sansone from testifying or presenting expert testimony. And so that's what this case is centered around. Now, if the judge ultimately decides not to let them testify, that doesn't mean this case goes away. It doesn't mean that these plaintiffs' pleas won't be heard, and that eventually we could potentially get Bill Gates to have to present, in court, along with Albert Burla and Mark Root. So this is just it was a preliminary hearing. It was an appeal to the lower court, and the judges. There was a panel of 3 judges. There were 9 attorneys for the bad guys, 1 attorney, Peter Stassen, for the good guys. We'll be in just a minute. And he spoke for about an hour and a half, very eloquently, amazing case that he laid out. The 9 attorneys representing, the deep state refused to even say a word. They didn't offer anything. They didn't test. They didn't offer any argument to his presentation. They were very smug, very arrogant, and essentially just kind of sat on their hands. So it was a big kind of middle finger to everyone who turned out. I mean, we have people from all over the world here in this room, 30 plus independent journalists and advocates. This is a very important case, and the fact that the attorneys said nothing, didn't offer any, rebuttal or anything, was pretty rude. But so what's this? Yeah, so we're just waiting. We're gonna get started in just a minute. So the judges ultimately came back after about an hour and a half of testimony. They came back and said that they would have their verdict in 2 weeks. So we're about to get started, and I'm not sure who this fellow is, but I'm sure he's going to do a great job. He'll introduce himself, and then we'll have Peter Stassen after. So I'll shut up now. All right, guys, here we go.
Goedenavond allemaal. Van harte welkom in deze mooie locatie bij Bar Piazza in Amsterdam, op Balenstraat 35. En ik wil graag een groot compliment en applaus zometeen voor deze uitbaters. We waren eerder klaar in de rechtbank, verrassend vanmiddag. En we hebben gebeld met hun en ze gingen spontaan voor ze ook. We hebben heerlijke pizza's gegeten. Dus graag heel veel applaus voor deze uitbaters in Amsterdam. Dan eerst even nog een herinnering van huishoudelijke aard. De mensen die gegeten hebben en gedronken hebben, willen jullie straks gewoon contant geld bij mij afrekenen. Je weet zelf wat je ongeveer hebt gehad. Wij zorgen dan dat het geld terechtkomt bij de uitbaters. Mocht er toch te weinig zijn, aangezien zij natuurlijk hun dagopbrengst vandaag wisten dat ze normaal open zijn op deze dag hier in Amsterdam. Maar wij zorgen dat ze dat vandaag toch krijgen, daar zijn wij garant voor. Maar zorg alsjeblieft eerlijk gewoon, we vertrouwen jullie allemaal, dat je eerlijk netjes betalen wat je hebt vergeten. Kun je mij afrekenen straks contant. En wij zorgen dat het geld terechtkomt bij de uitbaters. Dankjewel. We weten jullie van harte welkom hier. Dus we gaan de rechtszaak geweest in Amsterdam. Mensen die de rechtszaak hebben gevolgd in Leeuwarden weten dat de 5 getuigen werden afgewezen door de rechtbank. Dus dat zal betaald worden. Ja, dus je kan het rustig gaan doen.
All right, so welcome everybody. Thank you for coming. And, hi. We've all seen today. No, we were at the court today because 5 experts were refused to testify, to submit their expert statement.
Ja, en er zijn ook Duitse mensen. Kunnen Duitse mensen het Nederlands verstaan of moet het vertaald worden? Op de Duitse Reuters. Vertaling?
the German people, can they understand English? Or do we need to translate the German as well?
Is het oké zo? Dat is oké. Ja, goed. Kom je vrij, ik kom vrij. Ja. De zaak ging natuurlijk over belangrijk dat er 5 deskundigen waren uitgenodigd om te kunnen getuigen en hun visie te kunnen geven over de belangrijke zaken die er wat speelden. Dat wordt afgewezen. Het rechter Peter Stassen, de advocaat die de zaak doorzetten, de hoge beroep aangetekend bij het gerechtshof hier in Amsterdam.
Speaking Dutch.
Yeah, so the 5 witnesses or 5 expert testimony things were rejected, and Peter Stassen went against all odds to appeal the case and to try and get alternative facts submitted for the case, the real the names.
Ja, ik wil ook even een heel goed applaus voor onze advocaat Peter Stassen, want de zaal was muisstil toen hij zijn betoog hield en vooral toen hij ook zelf een stukje emotionele menselijkheid inbracht in de hele zaak en dat was echt fantastisch. Groot applaus voor Peter Stassen. En ook een groot applaus voor de getuigen die nog aanwezig is gekomen hier. Moet ik goed zeggen natuurlijk. Sasha, Latypova. En voor de spelregels even. De pers kan straks na de persconferentie van Peter Stassen vragen stellen over wat de Duitse gast en onze uit Engeland. Van harte welkom. Stel je vragen straks in antwoord van Peter Stassen. En wat je leeft en waarom je hier ook bent, dat vinden we ook belangrijk. En de internationale pers van harte welkom. Je ziet weer de meeste media van Nederland schudden bij aanwezigheid. Hier wel eens is de vrije pers, de andere krant heb ik gezien. Dank daarvoor. Want het is natuurlijk zo duidelijk als wat. Dat ook de meeste media het weer sterk laat gaan. De tweede keer, ook alleen maar nu weer. En ik heb groot en diep respect voor de mensen van de internationale pers. Die hier wel aanwezig zijn, wel een reis hebben gemaakt, de koffers hebben gepakt. En gewoon hier in Nederland zijn. Groot applaus voor jullie zelf. Wil ik u het woord geven aan Peter Stassen.
Abe, dankjewel voor de inleiding. From now we will switch to English, I think, because we have international press, so I thank Abe for this introduction. Today's press conference, Abe already said a few things.
Druk op de knop.
I also think it's good to express and to explain some more things. What happened today? Today was, I think, historic. And why it was historic? Because we had the chance to be very clear and to show very well what is actually happening if we look at the role of our defendants, which are executors of the project COVID-19, the Great Reset. Before we went in the courtroom, and Abe already said it was an appeal, there was the evidence of our great experts, Sasha Latypova, Joseph Sanson, Catherine Austin-Fisk, Catherine Watt, and who I forget? Mike Egan. The great Mike Egan. This evidence was lying there in the court. The judges had seen it, and they know that COVID-19 is not a vaccine, but a bioweapon. Yes. That's the sad truth. And this truth needs to be heard. So, when the court in Leeuwarden rejected my request to hear these 5 great experts, there was only one thing possible, and it is to appeal. And one of the things that made it legally interesting is that our law is stating you cannot appeal. So when the law is stating you cannot, then you know you have to do it. And there was a way to make this happen, because our case law says if fundamental rights in a litigation are not taken into consideration by the judge, then you can appeal anyway. And what's more fundamental than the truth? There's nothing more fundamental than the truth, because without truth, you cannot have a fair trial. That's impossible. So my basic argumentation is there was no truth. So this was not a fair trial. And what I did today is I explained to the judges, the raadsheren as we call them in the Netherlands, that the official COVID-19 narrative is fake. And we just need to look at the commonly known facts which are already there today. We don't even need experts for that, because it's already commonly known, for example, that this whole COVID-19 fake was nothing more than a mild flu. So this and other facts I explained to the judges. And one I want to tell, I also explained that we nowadays have the Epstein files. And this is a novum. And these files help us a lot, because what governments say, and also the Dutch government, they say all this complot theorieën, as we say in Dutch, all this conspiracies, thank you, I have the best audience in the world. And all these conspiracies are not true. And now we have the Epstein files telling us that there is an evil elite which is against humanity and is trying to rob and kill us. It's as clear as can be. The truth is out. So the first thing the judges had to consider is the fact that the state of the Netherlands was lying to them when the state of the Netherlands says that all these conspiracies of an evil elite are not true. So that was a nice novum to bring in, and to see that time is also on our side. We are getting stronger and stronger.
Yes.
We are winning the information war.
Let's go.
And for the people who could see the reality in the courtroom, it was very clear, because we could state all these facts, and I had the great help of Sasha Latypova and Joseph Stassen standing behind me, and I could explain today what was written in their expert testimonies, which, as I told, are lying at the court. They know what's true. It's a bioweapon. I can explain, thanks to Dr. Francis Boyle, who passed away, but I can still give his message through Joseph Sanson to the court. It's like, they know, they cannot deny. And I could also explain the great work of Sasha Latypova and what's really true with regard to these injections. And then it's as clear as can be. And what everybody in the public could see is that all these defendants act together and shut their mouth.
Yes, they do.
It's the mafia silence code. Exercise in your face. One lawyer speaking for 3 or 4 minutes, saying this is a safe and effective vaccine, and that's it. So I think it was a very good day. Even when the outcome we need to wait, it's April 9, but it was a very good day anyway, because words have been spoken in court that had to be said.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful that, thanks to the foundation, which can use a lot of more money, but thanks to the foundation, it's possible for me to serve my clients in this case, which is much bigger than myself, much bigger than even my clients, and I'm very humble to say that I can do this. It's a privilege. And I also want to really thank, which Abe already said, the fact that journalists, true journalists, because not true journalists never show up, that true journalists are here today to bring this news to the world, which is really important, really important. And we are such a small, we are all very small, but together we are very big. And when we join forces to get out this message and to get out this truth, then we will win in a psychological, we will win the spiritual battle. It's also a spiritual battle, don't forget it. You see the legal side of it in court, but in the first place it's a spiritual battle. We need to fight for the truth, and we cannot give up. So this is what happened today, and I think that's in general what I wanted to say about that. And if the press has any specific questions, then I'm happy to answer. And of course, we have as guest speakers today Sasha Latypova and Joseph Sanson. So all the questions can be answered today, and we will take all the time for that which is needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Peter, hartelijk dank. We beginnen met het vragenuurtje. Dus mensen die vragen hebben, stel ze zijn. Dus we hebben geen probleem met de tijd. Dus alsjeblieft, stel je vragen, stap voor stap. Ik laat de microfoon gewoon doorgaan misschien, dat mensen achterin zijn of zo je vragen willen stellen. Dan geef ik deze microfoon wel door. Dan kan Peter gewoon zijn microfoon houden voor het antwoord. Dan wordt het Engeland. Heeft u misschien questions?
Yes, sir. Have you questions, Peter?
What do you think the judges' appetite for being put in a position where they've got to effectively, by the absence of a debate today by the respondents, they've got to say whether there really was a pandemic and were the vaccines safe and effective. Those are big questions for those judges to face. Have they got the minerals to come to the right?
That's a good question, of course, and that's something for them to prove. We need to realize that today the court hearing was about the admissibility, if I say correct in English, about this appeal. Because I explained, in fact, an appeal is not in the law, you need to find it in case law. And so what happened, and I found it a bad sign, is that the High Court said to the lawyers of the defendants, before they had to put in their written statements, that they only needed to react on the question if this case is admissible or not. And of course, I've seen this, and I was not very happy with it, but I also thought about it. And I think there's no way you can say something about the admissibility of this case without discussing the full context. And that's the reason why I didn't object when I saw it. I could have revenged the court, I thought about it, but I think let's not do it. Let's bring it to court and bring the truth. And now these judges have heard the story, they have seen what happens at the other side. And I gave them some examples of brave judges who did their job. And the question is, do they want to be a brave judge or not? And legally, everything is possible. You can grant it, you can deny it, and you can do a lot in between. And we need to wait. So I don't want to speak about if they have the minerals before they gave the decision. Yeah.
Well, we know that the institution of our judiciary in the UK has been corrupted. I think this is a case which is going to show us how corrupt or uncorrupt the judiciary is in the Netherlands, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question. At the beginning, you mentioned to the panel of judges that the defendants had not attended. They didn't show up again when they were required to show up. Can you expand on that? Because it seems to me that that was quite dismissive and smug of them to not attend a hearing that they were supposed to be at. So I'm just wondering if you thought about that.
Very good question. We have of course 18 defendants, and you saw something on a television screen, which was one employee or something, a Pfizer, and one of the defendants saying nothing on the screen. So in fact, nobody was there. So before the court started with giving me the possibility to do my plea, I made a remark about that. And I said to the court, well, you ordered that these people should be in this courtroom This was in your letter. What was written there was very clear. They had to come in person. That's what is letter. It will be published also on the website of the Recht of Recht Foundation. Everybody can read. They had to come in person.
Including Bill Gates and Alba
Including
Berla.
Bill Gates, Alba Berla, because we only, except the state of the Netherlands, only have real people from flesh and blood which need to come. And we are not making our litigations against companies. We want people
Yes,
to defend themselves and show what they
it's
did.
different about this. Yeah.
And it was clear, nobody was there. So I said to the judges, in our law is the discretional power of the court to say to people who don't show up that and they can do this via their lawyers, they can say, I do not stop this litigation, we will do this another time, you need to come back, you need to give written statements, because a judge needs to have information. So my first remark in this respect was that they didn't show up. This was a big middle finger to the court, to my clients, and in fact to all the world. And that the judge should use the powers that he has, the court should use the powers he has to make these people answer. And that's why I said to the court, you should not close the case today, you should wait, and you should give them instructions. And in the end, the court was very soft on this, which I didn't like, but they know I don't like.
Do the Dutch have contempt of court? Do they have anything in the way of contempt of court?
If you mean that if a lawyer has the possibility to revenge the court,
I mean, no. If Bill Gates or Orla are told they should turn up and they don't turn up,
yes,
would
we
you
have.
class as contempt of court?
Yes, we have some articles in our law about that, which say that if a party doesn't cooperate, the judge has a lot of freedom to decide whatever he wants. And I also told in this respect to the judge, you can even grant our request because they didn't show up. That's the ultimate thing you can do, and I said you have to do it because this is so obscene that they are not there. This is something which should suit this situation. So yes, we have.
I have a question. Peter, I'm so proud of you, so grateful for you. You are a great lion and giant of a man. You sat before a bunch of paid Muppets in gowns today, a bunch of paid Muppets, and you spoke the truth, and you told them what's what, and you did not hold back. You did the world proud, and I want you to be proud of yourself. But what did it feel like, darling?
It feels very good to have the chance to speak the truth, and it's always very special if a lawyer doesn't need to lie. And in this case, I do not need to lie. So for me, it's a very easy case. No lying on my side.
When the Pfizer attorney started saying that the vaccines were safe and effective, the whole courtroom burst out in laughter. Do you think that is embarrassing to them, or do you think it has anything? Do you think it got under their skin or anything like that?
Yeah, that's maybe a better question for Joseph Sanson because he's the psychologist here. But
He's a psychologist.
until now, they didn't show any feelings. So I don't know.
Yes.
So I'm Dr. Joseph Stassen. I'm a psychotherapist opposed to psychopathic authoritarianism. So the official diagnosis here is psychopathic authoritarian disorder. I just created that. But you've got people that are sadistic in nature. They derive pleasure of causing pain in other human beings. And they successfully tapped into the everyday sadism of the average person in order to bring about this horrific thing we've seen over the last 5 years. They tapped into the everyday narcissism as well. So you're dealing with sick, twisted, manipulated people that are manipulated. Look, people that lie for a living make a lot of money. and you're dealing with people that do not value human life, even though when it's a potential threat to the human species, as these injections pose.
Got a new term for that.
Oh, ik ben Christian van de andere kant. Do I have to do this in English? Okay. I'll try. During your case, you mentioned that going against the narrative can be quite dangerous. You named Francis Boyle, you mentioned Randall Fumich, but you didn't say anything about your own colleague Arno van Kessel. Can you explain why a bit of him?
As you can see from the whole Van Kessel case, I never comment on this case. And this rule I also apply today.
Is this because you don't have to involve him in the case, just to mention him, just like you mentioned the other names you mentioned?
I think we should look at this case, and that's why I was here for today. Yeah.
He is home now after more than 250 days being in prison. Is he in any way at this moment playing a role again in this case?
No, because he's not a lawyer, so this means formally that he has no role, and that's also what's really happening. Yeah.
So there's no contact whatsoever, also not in an advising role or whatsoever?
I don't comment, but I am the lawyer here and I'm doing the work. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Do you think that the Epstein files will be able to fundamentally change the lookout of the judges?
Yes, if they are open to the truth, then it should fundamentally change their point of view. Another thing, what I explained in regard to the Epstein files, is also that it's a psychological operation, because people will get very much demoralized by the fact that nothing is happening, because people should be arrested, not hundreds, but thousands of people should be arrested, but they are not.
There we go.
And what I explained to the judges is that this COVID-19, the Great Reset project, which is about the Great Reset, the reset of everything, and that also means that our institutions need to be broken down and replaced by other ones. And this demoralization project, these Epstein files, are playing a crucial role in that. And there was also for me a possibility to give a warning, to look very critical what they are doing with these Epstein files. Because on the one hand, they are learning us a lot about the evil elite, which is there, which is clear. And on the other hand, they don't give us the possibility yet to really act on what I call Pizzagate, where I said to the judge, if you don't know what it is, look it up for yourself. So, I think there's also a very clear, I don't think, I know, there's also a very clear psychological effect from these Epstein files, and we need to realize that we don't need to throw away our institutions, because then they will replace them by the institutions we really don't want. We need to cure our institutions, so we need to take out the people who are not good, or better say, children of the devil. I also made that comparison. These we need to take out. That I cannot do as a lawyer, but society can do that. And that was one of the reasons I thought a lot about these Epstein files as a new fact.
One final question, if I may. You stated that it's crucial that the witnesses will be heard on the oath. So, what will happen to your case if this is being rejected?
Well, if we have two cases, so this is the case on gathering the evidence, the request procedure. Of course, the chance is there that there are two outcomes, or they grant our request or they deny it, and then we need to live with it. So if they deny it, then you can be very sure
but I will find other ways to get these experts in court.
There we go. There we go. All kinds of ways.
I forgot my question. But no, I'll take it. I do have a question for you, but I think you raised a point over there about people being persecuted for telling the truth, and obviously I think you've got a few people sat here. Heiko Schoening, who was arrested several times and quite brutally in London. You've got Andrew Bridgen, an MP, who not only lost his whip, he got accused of saying some bad things just to speaking the truth, and ultimately lost his seat, and myself arrested under the Terrorism Act and beaten in custody. I've seen the worst side of the justice system and started my law degree 2 years ago. So coming from, I think our perspective from 6 years ago, I got goosebumps in the courtroom today, and I only got translations. I didn't even get every word. And that meant a lot for a lot of people who've been through hell, who have suffered for telling the truth in so many different ways. Not just being an expert, not just being a doctor, but being an activist or a parliamentarian. And are you worried for yourself? Are you concerned that you said some brutal truth? You dropped atomic bombs in that courtroom. The word, elite, satanic, Epstein files, Epstein, Bill Gates is a criminal, their bioweapon, it's all fake. You said some things that we have been screaming, and people in this room have been screaming for 6 years, and never did we think it would be said in a court of appeal. So I feel like I'm in a movie right now, but I'm also I'm a realist, and Spencer as well has been there. So are you fearful for yourself, based on following on from what you said?
No, I'm not fearful, because I think fear is not the right advisor. I cannot establish if there is a risk or not. It could be true, or it could be not true. Until now, nothing happened to me. And I believe that nothing will happen to me until proven otherwise.
I think that's why we all need to be here, and we need to spread this message. That's why I'm here from the UK. And many people have travelled. Shannon from the USA has come here. And it is so important that this message is spread worldwide, and we keep pushing it out, because they do certain things to bury certain things. And this is one thing that can't be buried. So I want to thank you from myself and for what you're doing for the vaccine injured and bereaved, non-vaccine, bioweapon injured and bereaved. But just thank you. Honestly, I'm fangirling. I have a bit of a voice, so
You mentioned the Epstein files, in relationship with Bill Gates, but I understand there's 14 or 17 defendants.
18, yeah.
Okay. Would you know if any other defendants are also involved in this type of activity, and could there something be done about it? Because usually it's not only the big.
I understand the question very well. Thank you. Good question. Of course, I also need to do my homework when I'm talking about these 3.5 million pages, which I can never read. So I've looked very critical for the evidence that was quite clear. And then you see also that Professor Homburg in Germany is giving very good explanations and videos about that, because I also need to start somewhere, and he brings you to the real documents. And if you read these documents, then to my opinion, it's very fair to conclude that Mr. Gates already in 2011 was talking to JP Morgan Chase via Epstein about making dirty money about these awful from these awful vaccines. That's as clear as can be. So that's a fact that I have to mention, and I did. And so that's the reason why I focused on this. The other reason was that you can see that there's an evil elite, what we talked about. So these were for me now at this moment the two big things now, these Epstein files. And as a lawyer, I always need to be very factual because I also need to be able to defend myself if it's about the facts. Yeah? And that's the reason that I mentioned these two. And of course, if there's more information, which is, to my opinion, also really valid, then I will use it. But from the other defendants, I do not have such clear. It's not there, so I didn't see it yet. So I use what I have, and if I have more, I will use more.
Can I ask another? Just to say, Johnny Beckmore here, as someone who's worked on the Epstein case for 7 years, I was really happy to hear you actually mention it in the courtroom.
Yeah.
That was something that was, I've been chased around, harassed, I've been in all sorts of issues because of reporting on that case. And to hear it said out loud in the courtroom was
amazing.
For 6 months ago. Thank you for me and for a lot of other people like Whitney Webb who worked really hard on this case. I also want to ask another question though. I was looking at the defendants and I was wondering why Klaus Schwab and Thierry Mallory, who were the course authors of COVID-19, the Great Reset, weren't listed as well.
Yeah, you need to understand, we started this case in 2023, and we had choices to make. Yeah? And we started with putting down 2 defendants, then it got 3 defendants, then it got 4 defendants, and then it was 18. Then we thought, how will we ever cover the costs of doing this litigation, and especially to get the people served in the US is for us Dutch people, not Dutch litigators, not very easy. So somewhere we drew a line, and yeah, the 18 which are on the list are happy to be there, and the rest will come later.
Zijn er nog meer vragen?
There was some confusion in the public gallery about the amount of clients, because in the main proceedings there are 7 clients, now 6 unfortunately, and in this case there were 3. So one question was how come? And my second question will be to Sasha Latypova. What were your expectations and what is your assessment of the day?
Yeah, how come? Yeah, that's a logical question, but it's in fact also a very simple answer. When we started the main procedure for the court in Leeuwarden with these 18 defendants, and this, yeah, we had 7, and when we needed clients, yeah, but they also came to us. There was not so much people interested in having such a trial on evidence. So we ended with 3. So I always said, yeah, well, you never get what you want, but you get what you need, and that's enough. So this is the logical explanation of the 7 and the 3.
Yeah.
So the question, what were expectations? Frankly, I'm blown away by all of you who showed up. I could not believe, like, I thought maybe I'll get 5 people. In fact, actually, Peter called me about 7 weeks ago, something like that, and he said, hey, you mentioned you can come in person to Holland. Why don't we organize a press conference after this hearing? And I said, wow, this is a great idea. Let me just call up a couple of people. So I called up a couple of people, and all of you showed up. And so I cannot believe how we could make it happen. So many people. And I think the most important thing for me, the most important expectation was for all of us, there was probably 50, 60 people who showed up to the court. To show up in the court in person, they have to give us 2 rooms so that they understand that they cannot just quietly dismiss it. Even if they do that, even if dismiss the case now, we got the word out, we said important things in court, From here we can proceed further. I get a lot of pushback all the time. People saying, well, Bill Gates, he's so rich and he's so powerful, he'll never be persecuted, nothing will ever happen, why are you doing this? Forget it. And I was like, well, here we are. We are saying these things in court. We never thought that this would be possible, but we got to this point, we can get to the next one. So never give up, never give up.
Yes, let's go. Yes, Sasha.
And it's no question, but I will answer it anyway. I am very honored that it was possible to find such 5 incredible good experts. I didn't do this myself. It was Wendy, our volunteer of the Recht of Recht Foundation, who just started emailing these experts. And she has, in my opinion, done the sheer impossible. They really did it. And I now know that these are such good, willing people. They give me so incredible support. I could have never done it without them. We really need this. So this cooperation is really 10,000 times valuable or more valuable than gold, really. And I'm so happy that I can do it with such good people that it will be very, very difficult to stop me. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you very much to Sasha, Joseph Sansone, and all the people from the United States. I heard that Bobby Kennedy mentioned this hearing a few days ago in a public meeting. He did.
He said TV USA.
Huh?
TV USA. Yeah, but that wasn't 2 days ago.
No. He mentioned this. I will find it. Anyway, the question is there any following in the United States of what's happening here, and do you think it could have an impact? I don't know, perhaps.
Yeah, I think every action impacts every other action. So cowardice encourages more cowardice. Courage encourages more courage. And when people ask about, are you afraid when people get targeted, that's the wrong question. The question is, why aren't the defendants afraid? Because there are more of us than them.
That's right.
All power exists on an illusion. They exist through illusion. There's one thing that will crack through that illusion. That's the truth.
I can't beat that, but exactly. So that's exactly the point. We model behavior to each other. We human, we're social. We look at each other. We look at what's acceptable and what's unacceptable. And what happened today on the defense side is completely unacceptable. There was contempt of the court. There was contempt of the truth. There was contempt of people, society, morality. Also, all principles that they want to portray themselves as, the government is an illusion. Yes, the government is an illusion, and the government is based on the consent of the government. When we don't give them consent because they're evil, and they plainly shown that they're evil, our role is to spread the word and model behavior. Model behavior to others, which is courage, and again, don't give up.
Dankjewel. Zijn er nog meer vragen?
So one question to Sasha Latypova. So Sasha, you made the groundbreaking connection between COVID-19 and the military. Sasha, do you think that today NATO generals should have been in the court as well?
Well, so I'd like to remind you that the former Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, is currently Secretary General of NATO. And he's one of the defendants.
Yes.
So NATO is one of the defendants. Yeah. And NATO and the U.S. Department of Defense, specifically their units called DARPA and BARDA. DARPA is they're both biomedical research bioweapons developers. And BARDA is financier of all these shots, these injections, these bioweapons. So they even internally call them the Bank of BARDA because it issues all these accountability-free, liability-free, gigantic amounts of money funneled through the military contracts with a huge amount of secrecy to these preferred pharma companies, which that Bill Gates, the genius investor that he is, invests right a few months before this happens, right? So yes, it's organized and facilitated through the military. In Europe, all these shots were distributed through NATO. So NATO logistics base in Germany, they even put out a press release about it. And after my colleague Debbie Lerman and we put together it's called COVID dossier. It's part of the testimony. It's one of the attachments in the testimony. In the COVID dossier, we profiled all the key events, key agencies, how the money was funneled, who the key people are, and it all shows exactly the same pattern all over the world, including in the Netherlands. It shows that all of this was organized through the military, financed through the military, channeled, distributed through the military. It is essentially a bioweapon, or in my testimony, I call them indistinguishable from bioweapons. And the people were lied to. People who said it's a medical product. So that's why, of course, the military generals, the NATO generals, and I'm glad that our group is one of the defendants because they should be prosecuted for what they did. It's a war crime. It's a war crime.
Dankjewel. Zijn er nog mensen die nog vragen hebben? Dat kan er nog steeds, hè?
There's one question.
Ja. Gaat gewoon voor de derde ronde, of niet?
This morning you mentioned the concept that you called a preferred reality. That was obviously issued by one of the Dutch generals. I'm not exactly familiar with what he did, but can you just explain a little bit what it was about?
Yes, it's a very important theme in our litigation. We are living in a preferred reality, so this is not real, what our opponents, this evility, prefers us to believe. And we also had General Major van Kappen, which is not active anymore, but we had him sitting in a show on the television. And he said very clearly, we are living in televised reality. He made the connection to the military with this, and he called it a preferential reality. So he used this, and he is a high-ranking military man, and he told this. And I don't know exactly why he was so clear, but it was very, very true. And maybe it was a test to see if he would react on that or not. But he said, and we also showed this evidence to the court, and with everything we know now, we know that the tactics of the governments in this whole COVID-19 dossier are no others than these from the Nazi propaganda minister Goebbels. But this is all the same. That's the old way of preferential reality. And this is the new way with more technical possibilities. So I think it's very important that we explain everybody that what they consider the truth is not the truth, but a preferential reality. And it's given by the executors of the COVID-19 project to the people to, in fact, enslave them. So it's a central theme. So the judge knew very well what I meant. Thank you.
I would like to know what is the absolute proof that it's a bioweapon?
Absolutely right.
So in my testimony, I say these words, they're indistinguishable from bioweapons. So you can't tell the difference between, well, think of it this way. If you walk in the park and there's a syringe lying on the ground, and you pick it up and you inject the next person with it, would you be prosecuted for assault with a potential deadly weapon? Right? You would, for sure, there are laws against it. You would be prosecuted for doing this for assault with a weapon. It's exactly the same thing is done with these so-called vaccines. They are made without any regulation. So it's a chemical substance in a syringe that has no regulation, that forces the manufacturer to accurately disclose what's in it, in what quantities. It has no regulation that forces manufacturers to be truthful about the studies that they have conducted, whether the people received proper informed consent or not, whether those people in the studies were even real. There is actually very good evidence that a lot of that data was completely manufactured out of thin air on the military bases. And also there is no disclosure required. All the officials that are dealing with these products are legally allowed to lie to people about all of the above, about the contents, safety, efficacy, compliance with the manufacturing law, pharmaceutical manufacturing law. Also, all the import-export laws are waived for them. The contracts are secret. The contracts that the Netherlands signed as part of the EU purchasing with Pfizer is incredibly predatory, called predatory. It's the contract that's basically, it's invalid on its face because it's so ridiculously predatory. They force the governments to waive all the regulations, waive import-export, waive any compliance requirements, do not test the lots. The governments are supposed to test the lots which come into the country. So that wasn't allowed. The governments could not change the national laws with respect to liability. So they have to waive all the liability, identify Pfizer, so meaning if the citizens in the country are injured and sue in their country and win, then the government has to pay Pfizer. That's why they're in such collusion with each other, because they agreed with each other that they identified each other, but the citizens are, disposable, right? They have a right. So so because of all these parameters, it's the same thing as if a random syringe is lying on the ground there. Exactly the same thing, which is a weapon.
Just to add to that, Peter spoke about this today, but Dr. Francis Boyle, late Dr. Francis Boyle, he provided an expert legal affidavit to me saying that these were bioweapons, and I provided an affidavit about that affidavit to Peter. But you need to understand that Dr. Boyle's opinion is not just an expert legal opinion. It shows legislative intent. He was considered the world's leading legal authority on biological weapons, and he drafted and lobbied for the Biological Weapons and Anti-Terrorism Act in 1989. So just understand that that was not just a legal opinion, that was legislative intent. And he had four main arguments, and I think there's 100 ways to argue that this is a weapon, because it's clearly weaponized. But his four core main legal arguments were that the quote-unquote virus itself was developed through legal gain-of-function research because it was not for peaceful purposes.
Right.
So it wasn't for a prophylactic effect, it to strengthen the effect of the paper. And Peter mentioned the paper that was cited in his brief today, which is from 2015, which demonstrates that. And so the derivatives of that were into COVID injections, spike protein, which is not natural. So that shows specific intent. That's not natural. The spike proteins are natural. And I'm condensing here, but the other thing is the knowingness standard of intent. You know something is harming people, it's causing disability, diseases, and death, and you continue to lie about it and say it's safe and effective. And even if you look at the Kansas versus Pfizer case from 2020, they showed it at least as early, we all know this is premeditated, but they showed at least as early as December of 2020 that the government officials knew that these were harmful, which, by the way, Dr. Francis Boyle did come out publicly in 2020, December of 2020, saying that these were a bioweapon, for the reasons I'm telling you. So that should have put the brakes on everything right there. It should have stopped right there. And then, so you get the knowingness standard of intent. He talks about malice of forethought, which goes to common law, which is a reckless disregard for human life.
Right.
And so that alone, he claimed that Fauci, or a lot of these executives could all be charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. And then finally, the informed consent issue, which we've talked about, the Nuremberg Code and so on.
Thank you, Joe.
Zijn er nog meer vragen? Nog more questions? Nee? Zou jij van mij willen vertellen?
Oh, are there any more questions?
Ik wil nog wat zeggen.
Oh,
Als je, ja.
Well,
Dat moet pakken.
do you want me to say that?
Can you explain to me why you're the only attorney upholding the law?
That's right.
I do not have a real answer, but I can only tell you that when I saw the chance, together with Arno van Kessel, he was before me, this credit he for sure has. We already did a litigation about seizing all evidence from, in fact, the defendants we also have now. So he wanted to collect their laptops, their phones, and get the judges, an order from the judge that we could do so with bailiffs to look at what they were doing. And he was very early with that. And he lost this case, and then that was for me a reason to say, I'm going to help this lawyer. Because I found that we should use the legal system because we are lawyers and we have access to the system. We know a bit how it works, we can work with it. And then it's our duty to do something. And I've always felt it like that. And so I started, and that's how it began, and it never stopped. But why I did it, and a lot of others, some others also do, of course, great work, but a lot of them don't. They just have their practices and go on like nothing is happening. I don't know. They should give their answer. I have mine.
Yeah.
Even nog heel kort over Arno van Kessel. Die heeft ons laten weten, bestuur vanmiddag, dat hij super trots is op Peter. Hij steunt hem ook enorm en hij heeft groot diep respect voor zijn collega Peter Stassen. Dus dat geef ik je mee.
Just to come back to the question about Arno van Kessel, he has probably followed it in the live stream, and he has communicated to Abe that he's very proud of Peter Stassen, very impressed with the pleadings. What was the last bit? Anyway, he wishes him all the success in the world.
Ja, ik wil jullie bedanken dat jullie hier toegekomen zijn. Groot respect voor jullie, Sasha en u ook. En al die mensen die internationaal hier naartoe zijn gekomen. Groot voorbeeld voor de Nederlandse pers die aanwezig is. En ik hoop dat het ook naar buiten komt. Dat jullie dit ook breed gaan dragen, internationaal, deze persconferentie.
Many thanks to you to come here with great respect. Many thanks to everybody here, especially the press who is showing the mainstream press what press is about.
Yeah.
And he hopes that you will share it wide and far over the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ik heb vaak in mijn eigen toespraak gezegd, wij betalen onze eigen beulen. En wij vechten tegen de machtorgaan, de staat en Nederlanden. En staatsadvocaten die fors betaald worden. Dus we moeten het echt hebben van donaties. Dus ik roep jullie ook op, ook internationaal. Als jullie ons kunnen steunen, kijk op de site www.rechtoprecht.online en steun ons alsjeblieft. Elk tientje is er één.
We're a small organization and we're taking on a gigantic opponent. We have limited funds, so if you want to share this message and hopefully, support will come from afar as well. And many thanks for your help in that.
I'll make sure to post their link.
Ik ben super trots op Peter uiteraard, die de zaak doorzet. Het is ook een missie voor ons geworden. En we zullen hem ook blijven steunen. Maar ik ben ook super trots op de bestuursleden van de Stichting Recht op Recht. Die altijd voor ons klaarstaan, maar zeker ook voor Peter klaarstaan. Dus ook nogmaals daar dank voor en een groot applaus.
I'm very proud of Peter Stassen. He's taken this on and it's become a sort of a mission for him. But he's also very proud of the people who have supported Peter along the way and are doing their own bit behind the scenes.
En nogmaals heb ik oproep aan de mensen die gegeten en gedronken hebben. Betaalzorg zal even hier bij de bar aan mij contant. Zal het nog tekort komen, dan zorgen wij dat het toch betaald wordt. Een Friese onderneming, ik mag geen naam noemen, maar die heeft garant gesteld dat hoe dan ook het geld wordt betaald. Dus de horecaondernemers hier hebben geen enkel centje bij.
Please don't forget to pay your drinks or whatever you had. Whatever is not paid is covered. There is a Frisian company who will take the damage left over.
Dan wil ik Peter jou ontzettend bedanken voor deze persconferentie. Voor al het werk wat je hebt gedaan. Ik vond het vandaag echt fantastisch goed. Ik was ook zelf ontroerd toen je zelf ook even emotioneel werd. En de zaal was echt muis en muis stil. Groot respect vandaag wat jij hebt hier neergezet. Dankjewel.
Great respect to Peter Stassen. Many thanks. And I myself was getting very emotional when Peter was getting emotional as well. You had tremendous plea, and thank you for that.
Ik wil jullie allemaal bedanken. En ik weet of Peter nog een laatste woord wil zeggen. Dan doe ik bij deze. Is top. En Peter geeft het laatste woord.
Last word.
Yeah, it's good to have the last word because it's really a pleasure with all of you, and I hope you really enjoy the evening. And what has been said about the costs, please forget that. Bring me whatever you want. And I'm really happy that I can share this with you. Thank you.
So I'm going to flip the camera here real quick. Let's see if I can flip it. Hey guys, how are ya? Stop here. All right, so I see all of you on the live chat. Thank you so much for being with us. I can't believe I pulled this off, honestly. I'm so technologically deficient that I told Annie, like, if I even get this thing out on a live stream, it's going to be a miracle. So I apologize for the production value. It's very low budget, but there is a team of people who probably have a ton of cameras here and a ton of reporters, and there are international reporters from all over. And so, yeah, that was it. CJP Rumble, I see you. God bless the entire room, Shannon. Thank you. Well, I mean, I want to thank all of you here. Just continue to go through. And that's the thing. I loved the message of no fear. I loved the message of we have more power than them, and continue to persist. And I understand that justice is difficult. We often lose when we go for justice, but we are compelled to continue to go after justice. And CJP Rumble, don't bring that mic back. Listen, I told you, I'm like super low budget. I thought there was going to be, sorry, how are you? Go right ahead. I'm sort of walk right through my broadcast, but that's okay. It's all right. I learned a lot today, and I have so many thoughts about all of this. I'm going to be writing up. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to write it up in a Substack post and push it out, because there are a lot of like really compelling moments from today, a lot of really important developments that I do think are going to impact where we go in the future in terms of COVID justice. And I think the lesson that I learned here today is just don't give up. And Sasha said it, and Peter said it, and Joe said it. I loved having Sasha and Joe with me here. Joe Santone, like such great insight in so many areas. And yeah, everyone wants us to forget about what happened in the dark days of COVID, and they want to forget us to forget. It's okay, you don't have to. They're ducking too. The mission is The mission is to make us forget what we cannot forget. And so the room is getting very loud, very noisy. I'm going to tap out here, but traveling all day tomorrow. On Wednesday, fingers crossed, I will be in for a live show at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and I might be off. All right, guys, I'm out. We'll see you later.